All right, guys. Equity markets close higher as oil prices drop after Israel Iran ceasefire. Let's read this article right here and let's get it going. The NASDAQ was up 1.4% to 19,000 plus, while the S&P 500 gained 1.1% to 6,000 plus. The Dow Jones Industrial Average increased 1.2% to the 43,000 plus. Among sectors, technology and financials led the gainers, while energy and the consumer staples were the only decliners. U.S. Treasury yields were lower, with the 10-year rate decreasing 5.2 base points to 4.30%, and the 2-year rate dropping 5.1 basis points to 3.82%. August West Texas Intermediate crude oil decreased 5.1% to $64.97 a barrel on Tuesday. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said Tuesday that the central bank's Federal Open Market Committee is currently well positioned to wait to learn more about the likely course of the economy, before considering any monetary policy adjustments. The U.S. economy is in a solid position despite elevated uncertainty, while the remains low, Powell said in prepared remarks to the House Committee on Financial Sales. In economic news, U.S. consumer confidence unexpectedly fell in June as views on current and future conditions deteriorated amid uncertainty around the effects of the tariffs. The conference board said U.S. home prices fell sequentially in April, while the annual growth rate was slowest in nearly 2 years. S&P Global Division S&P Dow Jones Indices said. Separately, the Federal Housing Finance Agency said home price dropped 0.4% in April on a seasonally adjusted basis, compared to with March upward revised flat print. Uber Technologies shares jumped 7.5%. The company says that it is launching anonymous ride-hailing services in Atlanta in partnership with Alphabet's Google Waymo, whatever that means. Occidental Petroleum shares were down 3.3%, even after Raymond James raised its price target to $55 to $51. Gold decreased 1.9% to $3,331.4 per troy ounce, while silver was down 1% to $35.82 per troy ounce. So we got the one thing that I got from this article is where did I see that at? Uber 7.5%. The company said it is launching an anonymous ride-hailing services in Atlanta in partnership with Alphabet's like Google. So Google's gonna be a part of some anonymous ride-hauling service. So that's awesome. I think that's pretty cool. I got too many mouses. Anyways, says here U.S. equities markets end higher Tuesday. Oil prices dropped further following Middle East ceasefire. U.S. benchmark equity indexes ended higher Tuesday after oil prices dropped further following a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed publicly that Israel would not carry out additional strikes on Iran strengthening hopes that the fragile ceasefire he helped negotiate will remain in place. Investors were also reassured by comments from Federal Chair Jerome Powell, who indicated that the central bank remains focused on potential downside risks. During his testimony before the House Financial Services Committee, Powell suggested that if inflation comes in lower than expected or the labor market weakens, an interest rate cut could happen sooner than the market currently expects. And we pretty much read everything else that was in this article. But they're still talking about the Uber technologies, So there's going to be an anonymous riding or ride hauling service that will happen. So here we go. We got broad market exchange traded funds, IWM and IVV rose Tuesday afternoon. Actively traded Invesco QQQ Trust was up 1.5%. U.S. equity indexes rose as sharp sell-offs in crude oil futures, I want to say that's elevated concerns that inflation could spike because of the Middle East conflict. And after Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell left the door open for sooner than anticipated easing monetary policy. Okay, so that's awesome. iShares, they go down 1%, and the energy select sector fell 1.2%. Technology sector rose 1.8%. iShares and iShares expanded were higher as well. S&P Semiconductor added 3.8%. iShares Semiconductor gains 3.6%. So all of this means, because I remember I read an article like this for the S&P 500, and I noticed healthcare was providing a newer service as far as what the percentages was going up and going down, things of that nature. So, yeah, Trump's ceasefire claims lift investors. It's in U.S. equity futures. All right, U.S. equity futures were up headed Tuesday's opening bell after President Donald Trump reiterated that ceasefire between Iran and Israel is in effect. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures were up 0.6%. S&P 500 futures were 0.7 higher, and NASDAQ futures were up 1%. Israel is not going to attack Iran, Trump said in a social media post early Tuesday. All planes will return around and head home. Thank God. There was no reason for none of that. I ain't even gonna lie, y'all. It was just no reason for a war. I guess that, if you look at it, it's kind of like an attention thing. Like, they did all this for attention, to see if they were ready, but they wasn't ready. I think Trump knew, we ain't ready. All right, so oil prices were lower with the front month global benchmark North Sea Brent crude down 4.1% and $67.60 per barrel, and U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude 4.1 lower at $65.69 per barrel. S&P's Case Shiller Home Price Index is scheduled for release at 9 a.m. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell will present his semi-annual testimony to the House Financial Service Committee. Starts at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. The Consumer Confidence Index, due at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, is seen coming at a 99.4 in in May, according to estimates compiled by Bloomberg. In other words, in other world markets, Japan Nikkei closed 1.1% higher. Hong Kong Hang Seng ended 2.1% higher, and China's Shanghai Composite finished 1.2% higher. Meanwhile, UK's FTSE 100 was up 0.4%, and Germany's DAX index was up 1.8% in Europe early's afternoon session. And equities, Nano Labs shares were 180% higher per bell after the company said it had secured a deal to sell 500 million convertible promissory notes to several investors. On the losing side, the shares of Indonesia Energy, Houston American Energy, and Robin Energy were down 19%, 28%, and 23% respectively, amid declining oil prices following Trump's ceasefire claim. So let's go take a trip back to the Schwab account. You can download the Schwab account for free. You will have to put in your social security number, and it will be for free. If you aren't able to get it, I really don't know what to say. But, we just got a lot that we could talk about. I feel like I don't know what you guys will be doing as a day trader, but me, I'm always going to be focused on the GC side of things. All right, so I know y'all can see this. Let me hide the active trader, and we're doing it by. I like to look at it. We can do 15. All right, so I like to do 1 minute. So because if I had time to do what I love to do, and that's day trade, I would do it at a certain time. And yeah, so they opened up today at 9:30, and it was I want to say, hold on, buyers go down, sellers, so they opened up selling, and then it was up and down. It looks like it was up and down. It looked like at 10:15 you would have hit for a lot of money around that time if you had time to just sit there and look at the screen. So now we gotta make the screen a little bit bigger, about right there. So at 9:30, as you can see, that's what I'm saying. I don't do my charts by the 5 or 15. I do mine by the 1 minute. I want to see what's going on. If I can see, let me see. Man, they went crazy today on the sellers. So on the selling side, about right there, 9:30, they went crazy. You know what I'm saying? And it went all the way up. You know what I'm saying? If I had a chance to just look a little closer, we gotta start at 9:30. Real chart. It's how you look at the charts. You can't just look at what's going on. Some people aren't patient. I'm patient. I can sit here and just look at it. If I had the time to do it, I would look at it and just see what was going on, because you won't know what's going on. You won't know that it is going down, and you're hitting this. Like, people just don't know what they're doing, and I know nobody knows the market, and we will never be able to guess it. But if you see that, you just gotta look. In my opinion, you just gotta look. I know that things will be going down. Some people will know that it's going up. Get your clicks ready. Get everything ready. Don't just jump into this trading world and think you can just conquer everything. It's going to be a long road. All right. With all that being said, guys, this is it with this video. Thank you guys for watching. I will be doing. I want to do more videos on TraderView. I got it right here, as you can see, right at the bottom. And I was investing in my transit van, so I wasn't able to get my. I wasn't able to get my accounts ready, but I will be doing a lot of more accounts. But I like Charlie Schwab's. I said Charlie Schwab. I like Charles Schwab's account. All right, it's my broker's account. You know what I'm saying? I advise everybody to get one. It is free. I would say study. I'm going into a month at this point. I'm going into a month with the knowledge that I know. And hey, it is what it is. All that being said, guys, I love you. Stay best. Stay blessed by the best. And I'll holler at y'all a little bit later. We out.